Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. On today's show, will Ezekiel Elliott's suspension mean the end of the Cowboys' winning streak? Plus, Super Bowl winning coach Mike Shanahan is on set to talk this weekend's biggest NFL games. And how will Richard Sherman's injury impact the Seahawks this season? Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. Ezekiel Elliott's 6-game suspension is back on, barring any more legal action after an emergency injunction by the Players Association was denied yesterday. The suspension means Elliott will miss Sunday's game on the road against the Falcons. He'll have his next hearing on December 1st. On the field, the Cowboys have won their last 3, while the Falcons are reeling, losing 4 of their last 5. All right, Shannon, who wins?
I think it's going to be a close ball game.
Do you really?
I really do.
I thought you'd say it'd be a rout.
No, it's not going to be a rout.
Huh?
I got Falcons 31, Cowboys 27. I think the Cowboys now, Skip, they know for the next 4 games they're not going to have Ezekiel Elliott. He doesn't have to travel to and from across country, worrying about putting up a defense of how he's going to get the suspension thrown out or play the season until it's heard in the offseason. So they know now, for the next 4 games, they have no Ezekiel Elliott. So now you can go on and say, you know what? Okay, we don't have Zeke. This is how we're going to continue this winning streak. What Zeke was able to do for them, Skip, he was all the guys, their backups, all of them have a piece of Ezekiel Elliott. Alfred Morris can run, have the great vision. Darren McFadden has the speed. Rod Smith has the hands to catch the ball out of the backfield.
He's also got some power, but go ahead.
Yes, but Zeke can do all of those things, and he's great at blitz pickup. So now you have to ask 2 to 3 guys to do what one guy could do. Now, we don't know what we're going to get from Darren McFadden. He hasn't been active the entire season, but he's going to have to get called to duty. They're going to have to depend on him, because I don't know if Alfred Morris, he hasn't been the bell cow since he left Washington. So can he carry the load? Can he take on 25, 30 carries a year? I think they'll divvy that up. Maybe they ask Dak, and I've said this before, Skip, we're going to find out if Dak is who you believe he to be.
Yep.
Because I think he's going to have to take more of the load. He's done a great job of protecting the football throughout the entirety of his career. And I think the thing is that they realize now the likelihood of them getting splash run plays, the 15 to 20-yard run plays that they got with Zeke, they're probably not going to have that. They can't turn the ball over, because what they've been able to do with Zeke is control the clock. Keep the worst unit. I believe the defense is still the problem unit for this offense. For this team. But all the firepower is on the offensive side of the football. Now, and I go back to it again, Skip. You said Dak is the guy.
Yep.
Over the next month, we're going to find out if that's true. So I got the Falcons 31. I got the Cowboys 27.
My turn.
Yep.
I cannot wait until Sunday afternoon, because this game is by far, to me, the best NFL game of the weekend, because it also features an incredible subplot of Jerry Jones versus Arthur Blank, and they're vying over the commissioner's future, right?
How much camera time you think both of those guys get?
Can't wait for that. As you know, and even after yesterday's, for me, troubling news, I still believe the Dallas Cowboys can win this football game. I'll tell you my score in just a moment. But first, just a quick thought on the Zeke case. And I know even Dallas Cowboy fans get sick and tired of all the legal mumbo-jumbo involved in this case. But just allow me to just get this off my chest one more time, please. It is disturbing to me, it is disheartening to me that the court system of the United States of America has allowed a league to enforce a domestic violence suspension without conclusive proof that we know of until this case can be heard in full on December 1st. I know nobody wants to hear this, but it ain't over yet. Yesterday was just an emergency session of this court ahead of today's Veterans Day holiday, in which that court is not in session. They just quickly decided to grant or not grant an injunction. And silly me, and I'm no legalese expert, but I thought the court would at least grant the stay until the case could be heard in full on December 1st, because that's the first time they can actually get it on the docket.
Correct.
And instead, they shocked me and crushed me by saying, no, we're going to let the NFL go ahead and enforce the suspension for the next 4 games until we, our 3 judges that will hear this case, can hear it in full on Friday, December the 1st. So that means Ezekiel Elliott now for sure, as you point out, will not play at Atlanta. Then they have 3 straight home games. The Eagles visit. That's going to be a ball game, right? Then it turns right into a quick Thursday Thanksgiving game against the Chargers, and then the Redskins visit. And then
the following Thursday.
Yes, on the following Thursday to Thursday. And then the day after the Redskins game, this case will finally be heard in the Second Circuit Court of Appeals.
Correct.
I know it drives people crazy. It's driving me crazy. But silly me, I just thought they would grant the stay until then. Be that as it may, so be it, onward and upward. I have told you from the start that the only positive here, and you alluded to this, is that this team has been preparing to play without Ezekiel Elliott since training camp. This team is psychologically prepared and strategically prepared as best as any team could ever be to lose what I think is the best running back in pro football. Because as you point out, the depth chart is not bare. The cupboard is not bare because you have not one but 2 running backs behind Ezekiel Elliott who have, in Alfred Morris's case, 3 1,000-yard rushing seasons, 1,000 plus.
Right.
And Darren McFadden has 2 1,000 plus rushing seasons. Right?
Yeah, one with the Cowboys.
Once upon a time, Darren McFadden was the 4th overall pick in the draft. Darren McFadden has a burst to him that we have not seen all year because he hasn't, as you say, hasn't even been active all year. I'd say he's fresh, right?
Yeah.
I think he's fresh. And I have always liked Alfred Morris, and I cannot wait to ask your former coach Mike Shanahan, who got the very best out of Alfred Morris those first 2 years in Washington. Remember, he had the 2nd most yards in all of football to Adrian Peterson in his first 2 years in Washington. Now, we have to go back to 2012 and 2013.
Right.
But those were big-time rushing years.
He went for over 1,600 as a rookie.
As a rookie. So I've always liked his knack and his nose for the holes. And as you say, it's just vision, it's instinct. And this guy has a huge heart. And what has he done in a couple times that we've seen him touch the ball this year? He goes for 70 against the Rams. And even last week, he got a touch in the 4th quarter when Zeke was a little gassed, and he suddenly goes for 11 yards. So do I think these guys can measure up to Ezekiel Elliott? Well, obviously they can't. It's a big loss, but it's not a fatal loss because Rod Smith, as you point out, by the way, he's the older brother of Jalen Smith, and he went to The Ohio State University where he backed up one Ezekiel Elliott.
Oh, I thought that was the Rod Smith that played with me.
Oh,
but I figured he'd be pretty old to be playing a running back.
Pretty old, and he was a running back. I mean, a
wide
receiver. And in this case, this Rod Smith, the coaches rave about him because he's 6'3", 235. He's almost his brother's size as a linebacker.
Right.
And I think he's got a lot of ability. Will we see it Sunday? I have no idea. Now it brings me to my most serious concerns about Sunday. I don't know if you noticed this, but I don't think Tyron Smith is going to play on Sunday. That is the all-pro, Pro Bowl left tackle of the Dallas Cowboys. And he hurt his groin. He's had back issues all year for 2 years, but he hurt his groin late in the Kansas City game and quietly ducked out. And I think he hadn't practiced all week. It sounds like he won't practice. Come on down, Chaz Green. Uh-oh. That could be big trouble, and it could be big advantage Shannon Sharpe.
Big Beasley and Claiborne. Skip, here's the thing. You said the Cowboys have been preparing to play without Zeke, but they've been playing with Zeke. It's one thing to prepare to play without someone, but he's been there. It's no coincidence that over the last 5 games that they won, they've averaged 130 yards rushing. Zeke has been the bell cow. They got back to what they do really well, running Ezekiel Elliott, play action pass off of that. So we're going to see, do defenses have the same respect for those guys as they had for Ezekiel Elliott?
Okay, I've also told you that there have been holes the last 3 weeks that I could have run through.
Yeah.
That's how good the offensive line is blocked, and all of a sudden you take away the premier position, left tackle. To me, that's big trouble. Des Bryant has not practiced all week. I don't think he's going to play. That's not big trouble, but it's some trouble just because if you take away your left tackle and the best running back in pro football and number 88, I don't know. It's a lot to ask. So all of a sudden, Bryce Butler, come on down. Noah Brown, come on down.
Well, they're taking away the top 3 offensive tackle, the second best running back in football, and I noticed you didn't put a number on Dez Bryant on where you think he relates to the receiver position. So I'll take that as that.
It's not a huge loss to me, but it's a loss given the fact that they could have 2 other huge losses on offense.
You do know over the last 3 games in which they've won, Ezekiel Elliott was averaging 130 rush yards. He had 5 touchdowns. You think that's a coincidence or what?
You also realize that Dak Prescott this year has averaged almost 8 yards a rush, and he can flat out run the football at 240 pounds. Yeah. And don't take away what he gives to Zeke in the spread option run game, just the way Alfred Morris had RG3. Right. Again, we're going to talk about Shanahan about this going forward. But to me, I'm not as worried about the offense because the defense that it had to cover for, I don't know if you've noticed, but it suddenly is starting to grow up and lock in and lock down.
And you think that's a coincidence? That because the Cowboys are averaging 130, Zeke is averaging 130 rush yards, time of possession, they're on the field fewer snaps.
I just saw something against Kansas City that told me that this defense is rounding back into top 5 points allowed form that they were last year. They're 5th in the NFL in allowing points. And against Atlanta's offense, I think they will be better than you think they will be, because I don't know if you've noticed this, but over the last 5 Atlanta games, they've lost 4 of them, they haven't scored more than 20 points except one time, and that's when they beat the Jets 25-20. So think about Atlanta's scores over the last 5 games. They've scored 17, 17, 7 at New England, and then this last weekend in the other loss, 17 at Carolina. So you don't think this Cowboy defense could at least hold them to 20?
Possible, Skip.
20.
If you look at Atlanta's offensive rank, they're second in yards per play. But the problem is, Skip, they can't cash those in once they get inside the red zone and the costly turnover. The question that I have for the Atlanta Falcons, can Matt Ryan avoid the costly turnover? Because their losses are directly related to when he turns the ball over. They're winning a ball game. They're getting ready to maybe drive the nail in the coffin, and all of a sudden a pick six goes the other way, and the team is back into the ball game. Or a strip sack, scoop and score. Now the team is back into the ball game. So can they avoid the costly mistake? Keep this Cowboys, because you want the Cowboy defense on the field. I still believe this is the weak unit of this team. They offensively, even though Tyron Smith probably won't play, they're going to try to run the ball, Skip. They're going to try to run the ball. We know that. Atlanta Falcons know that. They're geared up to stop the run. And if Dez doesn't play, he's still a guy, Skip. You got to look over there. Every once in a while, you got to give him a different look. You don't single him up unless you got top flight corner. You got a Sherman, you got a Chris Harris Jr. or Talib or one of those guys, Jalen Ramsey, who's all of a sudden vaulted his way to the top of the cornerback list. If you got one of those guys, you don't worry about Dez Bryant. But I don't think the Falcons have one of those cover guys in their secondary. So you're always going to have to look, okay, maybe on in this situation, let's double him right here. Well, if Dez is not in there, nobody else warrant double coverage.
No, I got you. So it all comes down to the one player we disagree the most on. I believe in Dakota Prescott. You believe in the kid from North Dakota State, as in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I believe in Dakota Prescott, as in Dak Prescott. I think he has proven over the last 25 games, his first 25 in the NFL, to be the realest deal. You suggest that he's a one-hit wonder, a flash in the pan, a product of Ezekiel Elliott and the best offensive line in pro football. You say that he's dramatically overrated. I say he's woefully underrated.
Can I ask you a question? Does the Cowboys do they not have the best offensive line in football?
They used to. I haven't seen it perform at that level all year, and all of a sudden, this week it's going to be down 3 starters from last year. 3 of the 5 will not be playing.
You just told me yesterday, over the last 3 weeks, they look like the offensive line that they looked all of last year.
No, I didn't. I never said that. They got back in sync. The running game got in sync. But these other guys have run behind this line before, too. So they have some cohesion and chemistry.
But not like this. But here's the thing, though, Skip. The last 3 games they've won. What's been the reoccurring theme? Ezekiel Elliott.
Dakota Prescott. Look it up. I can just show you. I can show you the numbers.
I'm looking at it.
I'm going to tell you again we're about to find out. What did I tell you yesterday? I said the only reason that I want to see Ezekiel Elliott suspended for the next 6 games is so that we get to see whether Dak gets exposed as a fraud or as one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in football. Jerry Jones said the coaching staff is making the case he's playing at the highest level of any quarterback, and I think that's hard to refute right now. If you look at QBR, he's second to Deshaun Watson, who's not with us anymore, but his 81 is significantly higher than the third-place finisher, who happens to be Pennsylvania, who's way down at 73.
I'm looking at something in these charts and these stats. Dallas Cowboys last 3 wins, 101 points in 3 games. That's about 33.9 a game. 188 rush yards per game. 7 rush TDs, 7 takeaways. And you want to make it seem like, oh, Ezekiel Elliott has nothing to do with
It
this?
has something to do with it.
Oh, a lot of
line
something.
had something to do with it. All the key plays, and this won't just compute for you. It won't go into your skull.
It's thick.
It's thick and it's stubborn. But all of the key plays, all the crucial plays, all the third down plays, the third down run for a touchdown, the 3rd and 15 from the 13 to get out of jail and launch the big scoring drive that turned the tide in the game, they're all made by the quarterback. And the quarterback is on an historic pace through 25 games, which is a big sample size
No, it's
to
not.
me. Yes, it is.
That's not even 2 years.
Games.
That's not even
Come
2
on.
years.
You've seen enough.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I need to see more.
So he's 52 touchdowns generated, that's passing and running, to only 13 turnovers, and that's interceptions and lost fumbles.
I saw Aaron Rodgers go
That's the greatest ratio in pro football history.
Well, considering I saw Aaron Rodgers go 45-5 in an entire season, I saw Tom Brady go 50-8, I saw Peyton Manning go 55-10.
I'll take this guy. I'll take him because he doesn't make mistakes.
Hold on. Did you just say you would take Dak Prescott over Tom Brady?
Going forward, I will. Yeah, I think he's got a Brady-esque future ahead of him. I think he's on pace.
You've been in my cabinet.
No, I haven't.
You've been on that. You've been on that.
I've
You've
said
been
it from the start.
you've been on that hen. You had to be on that hen.
No, I got it.
Ain't no way.
I got it. And I'm happy that there's no Zeke now, even though the replacements are
You got to be
adequate.
You better be careful what you ask for, Skip. Sometimes a man can make his destiny on the very road he took to avoid it.
Grandfather or grandmother?
Don't worry about who said
one?
it. I ain't telling you.
I think Confucius said that one.
You Skip Bayless. You keep. Oh, I want to see. I want to see. No, I didn't want to see. I didn't want to see what type of player I was without John Elway. I didn't want to see that. I didn't want anybody else to see it either. You keep on hoping. Oh, Zeke gone now. Dak's gonna show you what he's about. Okay.
You sweating over there?
No.
Because this young man, still only 24 years of age, has changed the culture of the Dallas Cowboys, changed them from Tony Romo loser's mentality to Dakota Prescott winner's mentality.
He didn't win no. Hold on. When did he become a winner? When did he win in the SEC? Did he ever beat Alabama? Did he ever play for the SEC title?
He won 11 straight games last year, and all of a sudden they've launched their rockets again.
Here
they go.
They hang banners for that? Where's that banner in Jerry's world? 11 straight wins. When you won Super Bowls, you're happy about 11 straight wins?
Was it his fault they lost their playoff?
Yeah, yes, it was his fault.
So
his fault. He on the team.
21-3 because of Dak Prescott.
Oh, so
then they came back because of Dak Prescott, all the way back to 28 all, 31 all, because he threw for over 300 yards.
Hold on. I just
three
want
touchdowns.
I just want to make sure I'm correct.
Yeah.
In a team sport, we're assigning blame now. We're absolving the quarterback.
What's the most important position in that sport by far?
Quarterback.
Thank you.
So did he win? You know what? On my menu, Joy, I got this restaurant, great location, very little overhead. In my restaurant, I serve wins, losses, and water. Mr. Bayless, what would you be having today?
I'll have 11 wins in a row, please.
Okay.
Could you just put them up on the counter? for
Yeah.
me? 11 in a row.
Well, how about that one L in the playoff game and a glass of water?
Oh, but that wasn't the quarterback.
Yes, it was.
The quarterback served up a W.
No,
that
he
day.
didn't.
Yeah,
he
did.
served up an interception, and he couldn't get the job done, Skip Bayless.
Who was the MVP for the Packers? Mason Crossbar.
No.
Not the quarterback.
No, hold on. Who got him in field goal range?
He got him in 56-yard field goal range and 51-yard field goal range.
Oh.
Are you taking pride in that?
Did
That's
you see
pretty shameful.
Carson Wentz got his kicker in 61-yard field goal range earlier this year.
He did, and they won the game against the woeful New York Giants after they gave up 24 points in the fourth quarter to the Giants offense led by Eli Manning.
Okay, before you went to like woeful and New York Giants and Eli Manning, what did you say before that?
I don't remember.
Won.
What's your research?
They
tell you?
no, don't do that, Skip. Don't do that, Skip. You said they won against the woeful. Won. Okay, what about? All I'm saying is this, Skip. We're gonna see.
Yeah,
just
we
how
get to see.
Just how.
Well, what is your score for the game?
I have got Dak Prescott 24, Atlanta 20.
You need to stop trying to differentiate between the two. Dak Prescott played for the Cowboys, and when they
I'm
lose,
just
he
telling
loses.
you, I believe in him. I
Skip.
believe in him, and you don't. It's as simple as that.
Skip, why you do that?
Because I've said from the start. Have I wavered from my opinion?
No, that's not what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'm asking, why are you trying to differentiate? Why are you trying to separate the two? Oh, the Cowboys lost, but Dak won.
Okay, I'll do this. Jerry Jones 24, Arthur Blank 20. How about that?
No.
You won't accept that?
The Cowboys are going down.
Yeah.
And then what will you say?
You don't say that with much conviction.
But
I'm
no,
actually
no,
surprised by how little conviction
No,
you
no, no,
have.
no.
I thought you would just dismiss them and say it'll be like a 17-point game.
No,
Well,
stop
have
it.
some guts.
No, I do. That's why I'm picking them to win. I'm picking the Falcons to win.
But you got it like too close.
I mean, how could Atlanta shouldn't even have a chance? They got the best quarterback in football in Dak Prescott. They got the best offensive line in football. They got an owner that runs the world. So how could they possibly lose?
Well, Vegas, what did they say? They opened it at what, 3.5? Atlanta by 3.5? Wow. So they said Atlanta's a slight favorite.
But you know what's going to happen? I'm going to tell you what's going to happen on Monday. They're going to lose on Sunday, and you'll come in here and you'll talk, instead of talking about how the Falcons won the game, you'll talk about Dak Prescott's QBR and how it was higher than Matt Ryan. That's what you do.
Are you
I know
predicting that?
No. I'm predicting the win for the Falcons. That's what I am predicting.
Well, we do know that Dak can run. They gave up 86 rushing yards to Cam on 9 carries
Oh, so not
last
Dak Prescott,
week,
Cam Newton.
and 201 rushing yards to Carolina overall. So
Interesting.
only 18th
Okay,
in rushing
Interesting,
defense.
Joy. That sort of closes the case, doesn't it?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so now Dak Prescott better than Cam.
No, but I'm saying they gave up 201 rushing yards, 86 to Cam.
Y'all need to stop.
Dak has some legs too.
Yeah, he ain't got legs like Cam.
Dak's going to start this Sunday. This is it. This is his coming out party this Sunday.
I thought he was already out. You talking about last year?
It's for you. It's for you.
Oh, it's for me, huh?
Because now you don't have another excuse left.
Would you like your crow fried or in stew?
I want it baked. As little calories as possible.
Really?
Which
so
I
you're
will.
predicting crow?
No.
No mercy.
This is Shannon Sharpe, and before the show moves along, a quick word about Home Depot and Husky Tools. They say in life there are no guarantees. Well, I'm here to tell you there just might be one exception. In 1924, Husky started making things for people who make things, and they did it with common sense. That meant adding function, never frills, and making tools that stood the test of time. 93 years later, Husky is still making quality-crafted, durable tools, and Husky stands by their hand tools for life, so they gave their hand tools a lifetime warranty. Like the Husky Ratchet, with a 100-position ratcheting design and a 10% longer handle than standard ratchets, or the virtually unbreakable Husky Flashlight with the ability to withstand a 30-foot drop, both guaranteed for a lifetime, built so you won't need it. Now that's a pretty sure thing, and to Husky, that's common sense. Husky, common sense tools since 1924, with hand tools guaranteed for a lifetime, found only at the Home Depot.
No mercy.
Our next guest carried Shannon to back-to-back Super Bowl titles with the Denver Broncos. He spent 20 seasons as an NFL head coach, and his son Kyle is now the head coach of the 49ers. Mike Shanahan, welcome to Undisputed.
Thanks, George.
Welcome.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Shannon?
So I have one question. This is what this man keeps telling me. Is it true that when he played for you, that he told you what to do and not to do?
Well, you know that's true.
That's what he always tells us.
Mike, can you please tell Skip and Joy once and for all that I did do something other than catch passes and talk?
When you first came out, you didn't.
I didn't.
But it didn't take him long. He was a great blocker.
Well, I heard about some private sessions in which he told 84 what 84 would do on run plays, right? Yeah.
We did have one of those talks after the first year. We talked about a possible trade. He said, Mike, you don't have to worry about me. I promise you I'll block.
Yeah.
Promise?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, he made it seem like, look, he'd say either you can block or I'll find somebody else that will block. I say, I think I learned how to block.
Good for you.
Well, let's talk about
I'm a
this
fast
Broncos.
learner.
Yeah, exactly. They're 7.5-point underdog at home to the Patriots Sunday night. The Patriots defense has made a huge improvement since the start of the year. They haven't given up more than 17 points in any of their last 4 games. The Broncos have lost 4 straight and gave up 51 points to the Eagles on Sunday. So, Mike, who wins this game?
I think the Broncos are going to win.
Do you really?
I really do.
Now, that isn't because you still live in Denver?
No, it's not. Anytime you embarrass Denver like you did last week and they give up 51 points and you got the #1 defense in the National Football League, they don't do that at home. You know, they get excited. I think the defense will play its best game. I think they'll get a couple turnovers in there that they're going to have to get some good field position. And at the same time, the offense, I think that running game will start going, and they'll quit turning the football over. I think they've got a good chance.
And they have always played well to very well against one Tom Brady.
Well, they get fired up for him. You know, they know how good he is and what he's done in the National Football League, and especially being at home, the fans will be behind it. But they're going to have to. They got to make sure they don't turn the football over like they have the last couple of weeks.
It was kind of a blah game. Do you remember last year? It was 16-3 Patriots at Denver, but Brady was just kind of ordinary, 16-32 for 188, no touchdowns, but no interceptions. But it's Trevor Siemian, so that's the problem Denver faces.
It'll be interesting to see how Brock plays.
Yeah.
When I look at this game and I look at Mike McCoy calling the game, Mike, you see how they ran the ball so well against Kansas City, but they allowed Trevor to throw the ball 38 times. Last week, they allowed Brock to throw the ball 40-plus times. I don't really think that's the recipe for them to be successful.
Well, you can't do that. I think they'll be in the 50-50 area. The reason why they got, to me, threw the ball so much last week against Philly, they got behind. They had to, they give themselves a chance to win the game, but they can't do that and expect to win.
So how, I mean, obviously you had great success against the Patriots. What is the thing that makes them so tough? Why is Coach Belichick, Coach defense, so tough to move the ball and score against?
Well, depending on the personnel, he has the ability to adjust to all his personnel. Right. So sometimes he'll give up yards, but he won't give up points. Right. And he understands the difference. Sometimes he'll play a one-gap defense, other times a two-gap, depending on the strength of his football team. So he's just a great football coach. And
he jumps in a lot of fronts. He'll play a 3-man front, a 4-man front. He's, sometimes he'll rush 3, drop 8. Sometimes he'll bring 6, and you never know what you're going to get from him.
He's going to take a look at the weakness of your personnel, too. Is it your left tackle? Is it your right tackle? Whatever it may be, they'll take a look at your center and your guards, and they'll get defensive linemen over all 3 of those guys, and they'll just push back. So he's got a good feel.
So you are one of the great teachers and coaches of the quarterback position. It was your claim to fame. How amazed are you at what Tom Brady is doing at 40 years of age?
He's such a perfectionist, you can tell, attention to detail in everything he does. And when he's got perfect form, he's got the ability to take a look at any defense, and he knows where to go immediately. And he keeps that attention level there all the time. And he never, alters away from it. And when you get a guy like that, and he expects perfection from his teammates, there's no telling how good he can possibly get over.
Even going into his early to mid-40s?
Because he takes care of himself. You got to know him. He takes care of himself, and he expects perfection every day, and he practices that way.
But the thing is, Mike, is that when you get older guys and they hear the same terminology for an extended period of time, he's heard this exact terminology for 18 years. And the thing that older guys struggle with, when you hear the same terminology, you're not learning anything else. You know this backwards and forwards. You know if they give you cover 3. You know if they play cover 5 or they play quarters. You already know all that. How does a guy like Tom stay so motivated after hearing the same verbiage all these years?
Well, I think when you got a head football coach that that if you don't have perfection, you're gone.
Right.
And so his supporting cast, they know if they don't play, they're going to be gone the next year. So I think that's a pretty good motivator right there.
Yeah, speaking of the supporting cast, so he loses his go-to sort of security blanket, Edelman, with all his option underneath routes. And now it sounds like that Chris Hogan won't be able to play this week, and they claim Martellus, but he's got a torn rotator cuff, and it sounds like he's not going to be able to play this year, but I might be wrong. I don't know how that's going to play out. But I don't know how he keeps doing it with Gronk kind of in and out of the lineup. He's one play away from being out. He wasn't there the last 8 games last year. I don't know how you keep doing it without any quote-unquote stars as weaponry.
Well, you can't win every game, that's for sure. You're going to have some struggles, and they haven't had many, but he's going to make some mistakes, and that's why I think Denver, with the type of personnel they have and the type of talent that New England has right now, they have a chance to
They should, on paper, like you've been talking about the Denver defense, I thought they gave up at Philly. It just got out of hand, and they were like, okay, we're out. But on paper, this should be advantage Denver defense over what Tom has to work with on offense.
Yeah, that's why they have to have a couple turnovers in that game. because they do have the matchups, their defense and pass rush. The one thing about Tom, if you don't get pass rush up the middle, you have no chance. Denver does a great job of doing that.
So speaking of the Broncos, quarterbacks, John Elway has been a little hit and miss with his quarterbacks. Who of those three, which of those three would you bet on going forward between Osweiler, Simeon, and Paxton Lynch?
To be honest with you, unless you're there watching practice, it's really hard to tell, seeing people every day. But you got three guys with ability, and at the same time, nobody has really done it yet. And so you have to be there in the locker room. You have to be and watch them on how they play. All of them got strong arms, but nobody has stepped up.
See, the thing is for me, and I like Denver's defense, but the concerns that I have is, can the Broncos offense put enough points, even if they get short fields? Can they score enough? Because Tom's going to get, at worst case, he's going to give you 14 to 17. Can the Broncos get to 17 at home?
Well, the only way they can, in my opinion, is they got to run the ball half the time. They've got to take pressure off that offensive line.
Right.
If they can run the ball, where that defensive line starts thinking, you know what, we got to play the run.
Right.
Now we got a chance for some big plays.
Right.
But if they're taking off after the quarterback, there's going to be turnovers in that game, because New England does such a great job of finding ways to get to the quarterback.
Right.
And if they're not playing the run, they really don't have a chance.
To me, I look at these three, and this is my take from a distance. I'm just not sure the future of the Denver Broncos is in-house right now. From what I've seen of Trevor Siemian, he plays more like a seventh-round draft
rounder,
pick.
that's what he is.
He'll have his moments. He had a nice game against Dallas, and then he'll have a bad game and a worse game. And Brock Osweiler had a pretty good stretch there, and he beat Brady on that Sunday night and played pretty well in the snow. And then he went to Houston and just fell apart. Cleveland, and came back around, but it looks like his confidence has been rocked.
But even if you look at the Rams this year, and you take a look, you say, well, he's doing an unbelievable job. What are they doing? It's 50-50, run pass.
Right.
They're not putting pressure on the quarterback.
On Jared Goff, yeah.
Yeah, they're putting on the offensive line. They're getting a chance to get that one-on-one, get the big plays downfield. But if you put Goff in that same situation where you're throwing 40 times, running 20, 25, he's not going to have the year that he's having right now.
Well, that's play calling, Mike. I mean, that would take a rocket scientist. You're asking, and I know Mike McCoy, the last 4 years, he had Phillip Rivers. You don't have Phillip Rivers, so you can't ask these guys to throw it 40 times.
But even Phillip Rivers, he couldn't win consistently throwing the ball 40 times and running 25.
Right.
Nobody can.
Right.
So is C.J. Anderson the answer?
Well, CJ, they love Booker, they love Jamal Charles. You just got to run the ball. I mean, sometimes running is not about yardage. It's about giving your offensive lineman an opportunity to catch their breath and let the defense know we're just not going to drop back and throw the ball. Because I don't care who you are. If you just tell those guys, look, don't worry about the run. That's what beat Tom Brady in Denver 2 years ago in the AFC Championship game. They're not even worried about the run. They said, we going to get you, Tom. And they couldn't run it and they couldn't block him because you had Malik and Wolf getting pushed and you had Ware and Bond screaming off the edge. The thing that concerns me is that I don't know how much push they can generate. I mean, Wolf has been in and out of the lineup with that ankle injury. They play okay at times, but they got to force Tom to come to Bond. Because he'll step up in the pocket. If you don't get inside push, he'll just step up and just pick you apart.
All I know is Peyton Manning ain't walking through that door.
No,
right?
No. But you got to get look. Mike, we can run the ball. We can say we need to run it all we want to. But if you don't got that guy behind you, if you don't have that guy in the center,
no.
You
have to have that. But even if you go back to Joe Montana and the 4 Super Bowls that he won, they averaged running the ball 40 times a game through all 4 of those Super Bowls. 44, 44, 40. I think the other was like 37. But even with Joe throwing the ball 24 times a game, they knew for them to have success in the defense they played, they couldn't put all the pressure on that offensive line and put all the pressure on him. So the great ones, same thing.
Well, we know Brady's record in Denver is 3-7, so they have that working for them. You know where his second worst road record is?
Where? Miami?
Miami.
Second worst. Who wants to be second? You want to be the second in Miss America, or you want to be Miss America?
I'll take that.
No, I want to be Miss.
No mercy.
Dak Prescott will have a lot more on his shoulders on Sunday because he will be without his running back Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke's emergency injunction was denied yesterday, so his suspension is now underway. The Cowboys have won 3 straight, and they head to Atlanta, which has lost 4 of their last 5. We're joined once again by Mike Shanahan. Mike, who wins this game?
Falcons win. Alfred Morris is play extremely well, though. They're not going to skip a beat with Alfred Morris.
By the way, you had him his first 2 years, right?
Yeah, he played fantastic.
Yeah.
Totally a team player. Got a lot of ability. He's exactly the guy that you want backing up Zeke because he's special.
Because of what?
He's got everything. He'll pass protect. He'll be able to make people miss. He'll get that 10, 15-yard gain. He's not going to go 80, but he's going to keep you in the game the whole time.
And how well did he do with RG3 running the read option?
Oh, he was perfect. He was perfect for that because not only could he make that cut and make people miss, but Robert had the speed to complement it. So when you have that and you have a great play action game, it puts a lot of pressure on the defense.
But Atlanta will win because they need to.
I think Atlanta will win because, number one, I think they're a heck of a football team on both sides of the ball. And they haven't played as well as they have the last, 3 or 4 weeks. And they know this is their season. They're going to have to play their best game on offense. And I think with Matt Ryan, the type of player he is, and with the supporting cast, they can move the ball on anybody. And I think this will be one of his better games.
How much have they missed your son Kyle calling those plays?
Well, I think you always miss running the system. It takes a while. It doesn't happen overnight. I'm sure Zach, though, is getting more comfortable each week. And you see them getting better each week. They just got to find a way to play their best game, not turn the football over.
How difficult is it for you to come in? And I know because when you went to San Francisco, they had the West Coast system. You learned that system. So, but how difficult is it to run a system that is not your own?
I was so lucky. When I went to San Francisco, I went back for 8 years and looked at every meeting that they had. So it was so easy for me because I knew what they wanted to do because Bill Walsh was kind of ahead of his time. And, he filmed everything.
Right.
So he had a philosophy what he wanted to do in the running game and the passing game. You could change things up with formations and that, which we did, which was a little different than things they had done with the past. But at the end of the day, the players knew that they're going to run the exact same offense, had the same philosophy, so it was pretty easy.
But what about calling plays, though?
Well, for me, it was pretty easy because I could look what was done.
But does Sark has that luxury? Did they film in Atlanta?
No.
So he doesn't have the luxury that you had going
Exactly
in.
right.
Okay.
How hard was it for you as Kyle's father to watch the second half of that Super Bowl?
Well, you've been there before, so you know how tough it is, and every decision you make is
Scrutinized.
well, not only looked at, but you either win or you lose. But at the end of the day, they did some great things on offense, moving the football. But at the end of you either do it or you don't at the end, and so you got to live with it.
You know what, Mike? I look at the situation with Atlanta in the Super Bowl kind of like us in the divisional game against Jacksonville. And, that hurt. That's still the most painful loss of all the losses I've suffered because I knew we were a better team than Jacksonville.
It was at Denver?
At Denver.
Mark Brunell?
Mark Brunell.
Yeah.
What was the score? Do you remember?
30-27.
Exactly right. He knows exactly.
Yeah.
And we ran the ball 17 times, and I blame it completely on me at that time because he got so caught up in a game plan. We did good statistically throwing the ball, but we got away from our toughness, and that's the thing that had made us, the next 2 years that we were going to run the ball or try to at least half the time, and we needed to do that with the players that we did have.
So as you're watching, were you hoping that Kyle would call more runs to milk the clock?
Well, what people don't really understand is that they ran the ball 8 times in the first half and 9 times in the second half, and when you take a look, a lot of people scrutinize the play when they had the fumble, That was, to me, it was third down and 1.5 yards, and all of a sudden they have a miss of pass protection. They're doubling Julio, and all of a sudden Aldrick Robinson.
It's wide open.
He's going to he's 5 yards open. The quarterback just takes a 3-step drop, and he's ready to throw it. He's got the guy isolated, and that's the difference in winning and losing. Now you can go back to the 2nd and 12, 13 play where they have the back run the flat, and outside linebacker comes off, and you have a sack there. And then the next one you have a 12-yard gain, and then all of a sudden Sanu gets tackled on the sideline. Before you know it, with the holding call, it's third down and you're out of field goal range. So, yeah, you go back and you live through those things, but you have to because presented in another situation, you got to go back and say, okay, this is what I would do, or this is what I would do differently. But you got to be tough on yourself.
So this man and I have a huge disagreement over the current Dallas Cowboy quarterback. What do you see so far in young Dak Prescott?
I really like him. I think he's very talented. I think he's got an excellent offensive line, but the guy can make plays with his feet. Not only does he have the ability to throw the ball anywhere he wants to, he's got some time to throw it. And when he's got a good play action game and you've got a quarterback that has that type of ability, I think he's going to keep on getting better and better.
I like Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Don't you like Carson Wentz?
I love Carson, yeah.
He say, I like that. I love Carson.
Oh, really?
I'm just saying.
Is that what Coach Shanahan believes?
I'm just repeating what he said.
I think he said that the career path might be a little higher for Dak Prescott.
That ain't what he said. Pennsylvania, once a once in a lifetime type
I mean,
player.
Mike is still here.
Mike, what do you think?
I tell you right now, I think both of them are the same type guy, that type of ability, Dak and Carson. I think Carson is going to get better and better, too, as he keeps on playing. You can see he kind of struggles a little bit with some of the drop-back plays. Where Dak right now, he looks like the guy that's been playing for a couple of years. He's playing with a lot of confidence and, in my opinion, a little bit better offensive line.
How much difference is the run game that Dak has been blessed with his first 25 games as opposed to what Carson's had to deal with?
Big difference, yeah. And that's what really separates not only the quarterbacks, but a great defense as well.
Right.
You take a look at Russell Wilson, you take a look at his stats. So he hasn't had to play from behind a whole lot. I mean, I love Russell Wilson, what he can do, but it's a big difference when that defense is playing pretty consistently. And a guy like Kirk Cousins, you know, he hasn't been playing with that great defense.
Right.
But all of a sudden, once you do as a quarterback, you don't have to take as many chances.
He's going to get paid, though. He's going to go to a great defense. Might be in Denver next year.
Well, I don't know. There's still some speculation that he could still wind up with your son in San Francisco.
Yeah, you never know in our crazy business.
Never know.
Yeah.
And you loved Kirk Cousins in that draft. You obviously think you were sort of forced to move up to take RG3. We're going to talk about him next segment.
I actually liked RG3. It was just what we gave up for him.
It was a lot.
That was
a lot. But you loved Kirk Cousins. I can't remember. Did you get him in the fourth?
Yeah, fourth round.
Fourth round?
Yeah.
And what do you think of his career path?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all, because when a person has that type of mindset that he has, that he's a guy that is very accurate with the ball, and he can make any throw. And he processes things quicker than anybody I've ever been around. I've been around some good ones. But he has the ability to go from A, B, C to D as quick as I've seen, and not many quarterbacks can do that.
So would he, in your mind, be worth whatever $100 million guaranteed?
I think that's what he's going to get, yeah.
And would you pay him that if it were your call?
There's no question of mine.
Of course. I keep telling you.
He drafted him.
Mine's thinking like I've been around Mike long enough to know what he wants in a quarterback. And if a guy can make the throws, see, Washington keeps betting against themselves on that he's gonna falter. But he doesn't have a number one receiver. Jordan Reed is inning out of the lineup. He went to Seattle, missing 4 offensive linemen, starters, and beat that team in that building. Tom Brady hadn't done it. Roethlisberger hadn't done it.
Tony Romo did it. Carson Palmer.
Oh, stop it.
Well, I'm just saying. And by the way, Kirk Cousins is now 1-5 against the arch-rival Dallas Cowboys. That is not good. No?
He's had worse teams, but that's about to change. Change is gonna come.
I tell you, if you take a look at that Seattle game against Washington, and you take a look at play 23, 28, 63, and 64, just those 4 plays.
I know the one you're talking about. When he stared down the barrel of that defensive lineman, hit him right up on his chin, and he stood in there and he delivered the ball on the over route.
Yeah. Play 23, he fakes the running back. He's looking at the back in the flat. He knows where he's going with the ball, with the tight end.
Hold him.
And then all of a sudden he gets a guy in his face, and then all of a sudden he can throw that fade. And all of a sudden he's thrown away from the best safety on the field, maybe the best safety in the NFL. He knows where to put the ball and do it in clutch situation.
What was it, the last one was to Doxton, the deep ball.
Yeah, the last one. But he saw bump coverage. They gave him an opportunity to make a big play. You know, he's not going to miss that one.
No mercy.
Mike Shanahan is still with us. Mike, let's talk about a quarterback you know very well, Robert Griffin III. He has not played in the NFL since getting injured last year in Cleveland. Recently, he's been all over social media giving his opinions why he's not in the league. RG3 had his best production during his rookie year of 2012 with Mike in Washington. So, Mike, how surprised are you that RG3 is out of the league?
Well, the one thing I'd like to say is that when you take a look at RG's career, what Robert has really done is, his rookie year, he was, off the charts. Every type of record he broke in Washington. That year was better than any Super Bowl years they had. And you take a look at his turnover ratio, touchdown, interception, his running average, everything that you look for. But in my opinion, at the end of the season, he wanted to be a drop-back quarterback. He took it as an insult, running the type of offense we were running. Now, he did some incredible things. Then the next year, you could see him kind of go down a little bit, not the same stats, But when I got fired out of there, I could tell that they wanted to make Robert a drop-back quarterback, and he's not a drop-back quarterback. It takes time. He just thought the transition was going to be very easy, and it's not very easy, especially when you never ran that type of offense in college. So it's a learning experience. It's going to be very tough after a few years to jump back in the league.
For me, the rise and fall of Robert Griffin in the National Football League is one of the saddest stories I've ever closely watched. And I give you high marks and lots of credit for helping him be the best he could be as a rookie in this league. It's hard to do what you pulled off. And you also bounced back. What were you? Did you fall to 1 and something?
Well, they started out at 4 and 6, and they won the last 6. Then we go 10
won
and
the
6
division.
and win the
Yeah,
division.
yeah, we won 7 in a row. We started out 3 and 6. We won 7 in a row.
3 and 6, yeah.
And we had a chance.
And you're up 14-0 over Seattle in a home playoff game, and Robert had already, I don't know if it was tweaked, he'd actually hurt his knee against Haloti Ngata in that game, right?
Against Baltimore.
And it started to go on as you scored the 14-0 touchdown, and then I was all on your side. Let him go, let him play, and unfortunately it went completely. And I thought psychologically he could never quite bounce back. He never got his legs back underneath him. But there was also a fateful off-season meeting that I've heard about from a number of people, and I think you participated. I know his father was there. I don't know if the mom came, but they were so concerned about their son's health that they said, we've got to keep him in the pocket. No more spread option, no more read option. And do you remember this turning point session?
Oh, no question about it. In fact, when Robert came back, and right after the Cleveland game, he came back and he said, hey, I don't want to run the read option anymore. I said, why? Because Kirk, we beat Cleveland 38-31, and Kirk played very well.
He did.
And he said, well, if Kirk doesn't have to run it, why do I have to run it? I said, you know what? Kirk is not a read option guy. He's never run that before. You have. And I said, you can do some things that no quarterback can do. Just keep on using this, and it'll take some time, but you're going to get this drop-back passing game down. But you have to run what we've been doing to keep you healthy. And so it went south from there.
And you had never coached the read option, but as I remember, you went down to, where'd you go, to Baylor and to try to figure out how to run it?
What we did is we took a look at every film that was in college. People run some type of the option, and we have a lot more time to spend in the National Football League than they do in college. So not only do you have to run the read option, but you have to be able to run everything. And so the read option was a part that we ran maybe 20% of the time, 15% of the time with the play action game off of it, but it utilized his skills. And all of a sudden, when you got away from the read option and you went to the drop back game, Robert really got better. And the year we won 7 games in a row, he went from 31st in the NFL in third downs to the top 5. We kept it simpler for him. What we did is we said, hey, Robert, just go look at 2 guys, either run it or dump it off. And that's one of the reasons we won 7 in a row.
So I was a big fan of RG3 coming out of Baylor, but I have criticized him for turning slowly but surely into RGIII as he became, I think, a victim of social media, self-promoting. It was all about him. Tell us what you saw, his evolution off the field.
I'll be honest with you, I was really disappointed in myself because I knew where Robert was going. I knew where his dad was going. I knew where Dan Schneider was going. It was up to me to convince this guy that, hey, if you don't run the drop-back game, if you don't take your game, it's not there now, but you can get there. I blame myself for not getting to the kid. He really believed he was Aaron Rodgers. And in his mind, he believed he was Aaron Rodgers. I said, you know what? You're not Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is not you.
Or Peyton Manning.
Or Peyton Manning. In time, though, you can learn the drop-back game, and you will get better. But you got to do some of the things that we've been doing your rookie year just to keep the defenses off you. Because with that play-action game, Robert had all the time in the world to throw.
Right.
He had time. And so, and he was getting better, just like, we went from 31st to tied for 5th over the last 7 games in third downs. But the next year, because of the injury, when he did have the injury, he felt like, hey, I can't run anymore. And I said, John Elway lost his ACL his sophomore year or senior year in college after his 3rd, 4th game. He's been playing with a brace on his knee for 16 games. He's never missed a game. So, if you can come back from that knee, but what you have to do is get better in the drop-back game and kind of doing some of the things that we've been doing. And with that, I said, you got a chance. If not, you'll be out of the league in 4 or 5 years.
How did you like his rehab? How did you like how he approached the off season?
Well, I think everybody could see that in the offseason that he was kind of convinced that, we weren't running what we did in 2012. We needed to go a different direction to see if he could drop back, be a drop back quarterback and throw. From my experience, you watch people practice every day. You know if they can throw.
Right.
If they're naturals at it. And when it takes a little bit longer or you can't slide in the pocket, you just don't have the anticipation.
Right.
And he did not have that, so you knew he was going to struggle. And, I had to convince him that, this is going to take some time. But I never was able to do that.
How big he won Rookie of the Year, but he still, for me, and looking at it from a distance, he didn't receive the adulation that Andrew Luck got. Because everybody said Andrew Luck is the guy you just take out the package and he's ready to go play for you. And he didn't get that kind of praise, even though he had won Rookie of the Year, he had won the division. He wanted it to be respected because Andrew Luck was a prototypical drop-back quarterback.
And I told Robert, we said, let's sit down and watch this film. I've never seen a guy get hit more than Andrew Luck did.
That is
after
correct.
Rookie season. I said, let's look at you, how many times you've been hit.
That is correct.
One of the reasons why you haven't been hit is the defense. They're afraid to rush you. They got to play these option reads.
Right.
And you got all day to throw the play action on first and second down. Well, we have to get you better is on third down. And we did get better on it, but then after that, of course, things.
So is it possible he became, Robert, too close to your owner, Dan Snyder, who loved him before you picked him? Can that be a hindrance to your relationship with Robert?
To be honest with you, with a guy like Dan, he really believed Robert had all those things, all the tools,
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the stats. And unless you really study the game all the time and you really look at different things that a quarterback can do and not do, you can see why an owner or a dad or a mother, hey, don't get my son hit. I understand that. The one thing you have to learn if you do run the read option, the quarterback cannot get hit. He has to slide, give the ball off, pitch it. But if somebody's coming after you, you've got to hand it off. If you do run, never take a hit. And that's what Russell Wilson has done throughout his career.
Yeah.
He's the best at it. And you know who's ever? Deshaun Watson.
He was terrific.
He's doing unbelievable, doing the
Sliding,
same thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sliding, throwing the ball away,
Yeah.
be able to throw on the run.
Yeah.
Pretty
You gotta
impressive.
tell him, Mike, you can read the stats, but I'm the coach. I know what's going on. All right, so you have to answer something for us because Shannon's always talking as usual. He thinks he can outrun Jason Witten right now. In this state. You think he can do it? You've seen him run a lot.
It's hard when you don't run those 40s every day, but knowing Shannon, he probably does.
No.
I know
No.
He does not.
No.
I run it.
It's all hype.
He's on his own bike. Yeah.
Chalk, I just tweeted Joy and wanted to know if he could outrun me. Byron Chamberlain. You know, Chalk, I can't outrun
No,
Mike.
no. I never bet against him.
Never.
Mike, thanks for joining.
You hear that, Skip?
Appreciate it.
Did not.
No mercy.
The Seahawks beat the Cardinals last night, but they also lost one of their best players in the process. Richard Sherman ruptured his Achilles tendon in the third quarter. Cameras even caught Sherman on the sideline mouthing the words, "Tore my Achilles." Sherman has never missed a game in his NFL career, but he was on Seattle's injury report last week because of his Achilles. Let's take a listen to an emotional Sherman after the game.
I was going to try to give me a pick. We were in cover two, and once I put everything on it, I had gone pretty much the whole season not really making any drastic cuts. You know what I mean? I'm veteran enough. I know the plays enough where I was never in position where I had to make a super bad cut, or it would probably popped a long time ago. But I just thought I could get the ball, and once it popped, it's just unfortunate I couldn't make the tackle. It was one of them things you just had to play through as long as you can, and then, when it goes, it goes. Just got to stay positive. That's all you can do.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
Anybody else coming in?
Doug Baldwin was asked if the injury was Exhibit A, why Thursday night games are difficult, and Baldwin said it's Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C, Exhibit D, Exhibit Z. Thursday night football should be illegal.
All above.
All of the above.
All of the above.
Eric, do you have a problem with Thursday night football?
Most definitely. I just feel like the guy's body does not have enough time to heal. You have to heal. I mean, this is a physical sport. People think that, football is fun. It's a fun sport to watch, but you don't understand what it takes to get ready for a football season, what your body goes through. I always say that the guys don't have time to even, when they get drafted, from the time they get drafted to the time, they go into the pros, they have no time to rest. And, Sherman's a veteran. Like he said, he's a veteran player. He tried to probably stay off it, not to do anything crazy, but in a game that's heated, you got to go after it.
Right.
And I just feel that It's too much football. It really is. Look, Monday night, when I played Monday night and Sunday, and that was it. That was enough football. It really was. And for the players, it's like you said, it's illegal. And it's not fun. If you would take a survey of the players in the National Football League and say, would you like to knock out Thursday night football? I bet you 80 to 90, maybe 100% of them would say, oh, yeah. The young ones were like, I'm young.
Yeah.
But when you get older, you're like, man, this is too much. It's just too much. We love the game, but I just think it's too much football. And you're going to see more and more injuries, as the years go on. And I think it's bad for the game.
As a fan, do you watch Thursday night football?
Not at all. I have no interest in it. No, I have no interest. Because most of those games are blowouts. They're blowouts. I mean, like when the teams go to London, they're blowout games. I mean, I think going to London has become a good deal because, I think it's great for the league. But now we're going to China, we're going to Mexico. I mean, when is enough enough? I mean, seriously.
Well, if you go to China, don't try to steal no Louis Vuitton. you be all right if you don't steal no Louis.
Yeah.
Or you'll be under
Bring your
house
own
arrest.
glass.
You'll be, yeah.
I hate them. But here's the thing the players are going to have to say. Are you willing to give up some of that money? Because that's about $450 million that the NFL generate from NBC and CBS that's telecast these ball games. That's about $7 million in reduction in salary cap. That's about $132,000 per player. So are you willing to give that up in order for the NFL to do away with the Thursday night game?
Or to negotiate in reverse, you want more to do more.
Exactly.
Right?
Oh,
Okay.
Here's the thing. Now, if you're going to keep these Thursday night games, you hurting my health. I'm going to need lifetime benefits. Now we can talk. Let's talk about something now. See, ED, when they had an opportunity, they bargained for petty privileges. Well, I want you to start OTAs a month later. Or I don't want to have but 13 padded practices during the season. I only want to practice once during training camp. That ain't nothing.
That's nothing.
Sounded good at the
Yeah.
time.
Woo! Man, we ain't got to go till May out of OTAs.
Yeah. Wow.
And the owners are like,
that's it.
They ain't asking no lifetime benefits.
Really?
They ain't asking no. You got to get some extra. Now, this is what we know, Skip, with anything. Once you give something to someone, it's hard for them to give that thing up. We're finding that about health care. We're finding that out they're finding out the hard way. So are these players willing to give up some money that's in their bank account? Because remember, Skip, that's what happened in 2011. Those guys didn't want to miss no paychecks, did they?
Yep.
So let alone missing paychecks, now the paychecks are even less that you could possibly miss. That's the question. I hate them, Skip, because as a player, Skip, I was sore, literally sore until Friday. So I couldn't imagine having to play a game, and they're asking me, because as 84 Sharpe on the back, they expect me to go out there and give it to them regardless of how I'm feeling, although I was just involved in 65, 70 car crashes. And they asked me to do it again 4 days later. So this is the question that the players in 2020 is going to have to ask themselves. What are we willing to give up, or what are we willing to gain if you want to remove them, or do you want to keep them but get something in return?
I hear what both of you said, but I am a prisoner of all the days I spent in Dallas, Texas, covering the Dallas Cowboys, who got grandfathered into the late afternoon slot on Thanksgiving year after year after year after year because they did it. Detroit and Dallas did it when nobody wanted to play on Thursday of Thanksgiving. And Tex Schramm, the late, great Tex Schramm, said, we'll do it. We love it. And then they got grandfathered in, and they're still doing it as we speak.
Right.
And I never heard a discouraging word from one Dallas Cowboy about having to play Sunday to Thursday, because they loved it, because they looked forward to a mini bye week 2/3 of the way through the year. But they knew how to do it. They were cultured into it because it became part of their design every year, is that a few of the coaches would prepare this coming week for, they got the Chargers, obviously.
Right.
So a little bit of the staff is working on the Chargers.
That is correct.
Maybe some of your meetings are on the Chargers, but your focus is on the, who do they have? Philly. Philly. Obviously, the focus is going to be on Philly.
Right.
But they get mentally prepared to go quick into Thursday. Yeah. But they got one huge advantage. They don't have to travel. It's a home game on Thursday, so you don't have to waste one of those 3 days flying, right? But it was great and continues to be a great benefit to the Dallas Cowboys to get a Thursday game, because they all know if we win it at home, which they often do, guess what? They get 10 days off.
10 days off, right?
It's beautiful.
And the thing,
so you're not going to hear any negativity coming out of Dallas Cowboys.
Well, Skip, what they tried, they thought about doing it was rotating it. is that give everybody an opportunity to play on Thanksgiving. And Dallas and Detroit was like, hold on. We was doing this when no one else wanted to do it.
Okay, but see, that's the irony of this conversation because Seattle says it should be outlawed.
Right.
It's illegal. You're saying that. And Dallas is saying it's the best benefit we have in our whole schedule. So this is, look, pro football to me is often about mentality. Injuries are about mentality. And going back to the old Cowboys, remember Leroy Jordan, the great middle linebacker out of Alabama?
Yep.
First thing he told me when I was a Cub reporter, he said, the harder I play, the less I get hurt. And that's just in your head. I'm going to go 1,000% all out. And if I go that way, if I try to go 50% and protect, that's when you get hurt. I think all those Seahawks went into that game last night with some demons in their head, like, this is terrible. We have to do it. And they had to travel, obviously, to go to Arizona. Yeah. And if it's in your head that this is wrong, I think you are more susceptible in your psyche, deep down into your subconscious, to getting hurt.
Well, when you saw when Richard Sherman got hurt, he was going 100%. I mean, first of all, you go back to those days, the Cowboy days in the 70s and 60s, those guys were not as big as these guys are now. These guys are big, physical. You're talking about, think about it. Even when I played, the offense, if you had one or two offensive linemen that were over 300 pounds, and that was it. 255, 260. Now all these guys are 355, 360, 380. The whole line is 300 plus.
Yeah.
I mean, the defensive line. Matter of fact, I was standing at the Pro Bowl, I was standing behind the guy, and they're on the three-point stance. They butts were like, I'm like, wow. I'm like, man, I think I'd like to run behind these guys. I mean,
exactly.
So these guys are huge. These are not linebackers that's like 200 now. These guys are 255, 265.
Jack Lambert was 205, playing middle linebacker.
So that's the difference. The game has evolved. These guys are so much bigger and so
faster,
much
stronger.
Faster, stronger. Imagine when these guys hit you, you are really, really hit. I'm talking about. You get up with something like, whoa.
It's a different game, Skip. Because even when I played, and I just retired almost 14 years ago, our offensive line, we had nobody over 300 pounds. We had an undersized line, but we were all about moving and zone reading. Now, like as Edie said, everybody has a 300-pound.
I got you.
I mean, think about it. You got big guys running into bigger guys at a high rate of speed. Bad things are going to happen, Skip, and I don't care how fast you go. Even the best cars, you watch NASCAR, those are some of the best engine designers. But when they drive at 200 miles an hour for 200, 300 miles, guess what? The engine goes.
Yeah.
I don't care how fast you go. You keep running into enough people, bad things are going to happen. You heard Richard Sherman say it was a cover two. I thought I could get there. I drove the ball, and bam. And that's what you're going to see. But what are the players what are you willing to give up?
Well, you better fight for it if that's what you believe. And I hear what both of you say. Now, as a fan, I like Thursday night. I watch it, but I'm a nut.
But maybe that has something, Skip, that has something to do with the ratings.
Yeah.
You think about it. When you could only had to watch, you only get Sunday and Monday. You were, man,
Oh,
I can't wait.
You keep talking about what the players are giving up. The owners have to think about this too. If you look at the list of injuries of stars this year alone, you can't pin it just to Thursday night football, obviously, but it's something to think about. It's not just the players.
They're losing their stars.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't have Aaron Rodgers on the field, if you don't have
Deshaun Watson, J.J. Watt.
I don't want to watch them. They're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
So.
No mercy.
Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. Keep an eye out for the weekend edition of the podcast tomorrow morning, featuring this week's best NFL segments. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Fox Sports 1 of 1.